we actually streaming yet? I never remember. So welcome to our discussion on House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This is our October pick for the book club. And we all managed to finish it with me as the last, as usual. So we'll just start off. I'll put up our non-spoiler banner. We can start with that as usual.
So prepared.
I am not prepared. They're the example banners that it gave me. So, it's fine. Hello.
Hello.
So do we want to just start with like ratings and general feelings? Never know where we want to.
Yeah, and then just see what happens.
Yeah, go from there. There we go.
From there. All right. So I guess I will start. This is a reread for me, and I actually went back and looked to see the first time I read it. It was 2019. That's the year it came out, and I read that with a book club on Instagram back then. And everybody loved it back then, so I thought that was interesting. And then I was reading this, and I was like, I forgot so much about this. I've been recommending this book so much, and I still love it. It was a 4-star. But I was like, I forgot how weird the ending is. I forgot how focused on the romance it is. So it was a good experience to reread it. It's a 4-star, not as didn't love it as much this time, but I still really liked it.
I gave it 2.5. Sorry. Don't want to be ragging one of your favorites, Kristen. I will say,
I love
disclaimer. I am in like a slump where I'm reading, but I'm DNFing a lot of books and like feeling so about a lot of books, so it could be influenced by that. But for me, I thought that it was just too long. Like I liked what it was doing in the beginning, but I would have preferred it as like a 200-page novella, I think, or even 300, but 400 was a stretch. I think that would have improved both the atmosphere and the pacing, where it wasn't like atmospheric at some parts and then kind of slice of life plot at others. I would have liked that to be a bit more consistent. And then I didn't like the ending. I thought that the plot twists, it suggested plot twists that would have been better. And then it went with a very cliche, in my opinion, ending that just made me more annoyed about it. And I did look up the original fairy tale after, and it was super short, and it didn't really, like, it had similar beats, but this definitely went off quite a bit in creativity. But I thought that the end, like I was expecting the ending that I thought was cliche to be from the original story, and it wasn't. So that surprised me too. I thought that maybe that would have explained it, but I guess it was the author's choice.
Micah? I would give it like high 2, low 3. What's that in like tens of numbers? I don't know, like a 5 or 6 or 10. No, maybe a little bit higher. I feel like, similar to what Maria was saying, I feel like it was just inconsistent in like tone and vibe a little bit. I feel like there were elements or the moments where it was really creepy, and for how much people talk about how Erin A. Craig had gotten like the creepy, sorry, Poppy Society, she needs to be in my lap now also. For how much I had heard that Erin A. Craig did a really, really good job of like the atmosphere, I felt like that wasn't the case, and that it just like tone shifted between angsty YA romance elements to then creepy scenes, or back and forth in a way that was not jarring, but also like really, really cut up any of the creepy elements. I also didn't find it like nearly as creepy or scary, I guess, or as like you guys like was expecting. Yeah, I think I suspected. I think the ending was what I thought it was going to be, but then partway through, like Mary was saying, that I thought it was going to go, and suddenly I thought it was going to go a different route, and then it went back to kind of what I was originally thinking. So, and I had a really hard time. I definitely was confused about the love interest a lot of the time. So, yeah, I don't know. Just like world elements, it was not as amazing as I thought it was going to be. for even the genre and sort of like what I expected. If that makes sense. Like I thought it was gonna be like really, really good YA, and I was like, it had just weird oddities, I think.
Mm.
Like I said, to tone, whatnot. It was a while ago. I read it at the very beginning of October though, so it's gone.
Yeah, you read it a while ago. Yeah.
I was like, I need to read the October book.
Actually, in October, yeah. I would give this. I don't know. I didn't think about a rating before because I only finished it on Thursday. I feel like it's like a 3, but that's generous.
Just me by myself.
I think there were things I really, really loved about this book, and there were things that I really felt were a miss. I think that trying to write a YA gothic horror did not work. That if this had been a gothic horror for an adult audience that didn't have to do the like YA tropey romance and also could have leaned more in to the horror elements that come along with that like gothic horror, I think it would have been better. I think there were things like if you've seen the movie Crimson Peak, that's what I wanted from this book. And that is not what I got. It was not scary. It was not scary at all.
No.
And like, I know it's for like a YA audience. And so, but I wouldn't have been scared of this at 16, and I'm a big scaredy cat. So I think that's where maybe the selling of it kind of threw me off a little bit too. Like I was expecting it to be incredibly spooky, and it was just kind of not. But I think the writing, like the voice and the writing style of Erin A. Craig is really well done. I think where she falls down is the plotting and the pacing. And I think you could have picked a cooler fairy tale to riff on than the 12 Dancing Princesses, because it's kind of a lame fairy tale if you know the fairy tale. Like it's not, there's nothing horrific about the 12 Dancing Princesses, so I was kind of interested to see how that could like fit into this kind of atmosphere, and I think that was part of the big miss for the second half of the book for me. I definitely enjoyed the first half of the book way more than the second half.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think so. I ended up giving it a 3 for a lot of the same reasons that everybody else has already mentioned now. But like, I loved the beginning a lot. Like, I think that first half I read almost in one sitting, just because I liked the mystery of it. I like the atmosphere she sets a lot in the beginning with kind of the descriptive writing style and kind of a little bit of a darker tone, even though it's a little slow in pacing. But I hated the ending. And I really didn't like the romance. I wish, honestly, if it had been less focused on the romance, this probably would have been a 4-star for me. But I really just don't enjoy anymore like the very romance-focused YA. So, and it's funny reading this after reading Belladonna, which I think has some similar stuff in it, but I like the execution in that one better. So,
I agree with that.
But I liked, and I'm curious to see what everybody thought on some of the world building elements. I'll put some of these guys up here too. But I think my favorite part of this book was sort of the gods and the world building around the islands and kind of those details. Made it a lot more fun for me. And then, so you're not alone, Kristen, on people liking it at all.
Yeah,
and I think I
most
saw
people do
mostly
like it. I feel like I'm
Popular
it's a
book.
popular book. Now I'm kind of nervous for you all to read the sequel. I know I'm supposed to push the agenda and everybody should read the sequel, but because you didn't like the endings, this makes me nervous. Because the ending of the sequel
it felt like
it's less.
I was
way
just
less
gonna say,
romance.
you feel like what we've been saying has been.
It's less romance.
Okay.
But And I do think it leans into the horror more, but not in like a creepy way, more in like a graphic way. Like there's some disgusting things that happen. And then the ending is like a lot wilder than the ending of this one. Like, and there's twist after twist, and I was like, you get whiplash in that one.
I will say the
It feels very
ending
different.
of this book, other than the like prologue or not prologue, the like
Yeah.
whatever the
I'm
7
not
months
clear,
later.
yeah. Epilogue.
If you don't,
yeah.
the epilogue, that's the word I was looking for. The ending of this book, I thought did the Gothic genre justice. And obviously, like without talking about spoilers, like it absolutely hit the nail on the head of this is a Gothic novel. Like that's what you expect from the ending of a Gothic novel, I think, from my experience with Gothic novels anyway. And so I didn't hate the ending. I hated the epilogue.
Yeah.
And I also hated some of the stuff leading up to the ending. But the ending was it was very cliche. But sometimes I'm okay with the cliche if it's in service to a certain genre or certain style, to say I'm following the conventions of all these great books that have come before me. Not that I would put this in the same, category as like Edgar Allan Poe or anything like that, but
No.
I was just gonna say, I think if it cut out the almost like swerves where you think it's gonna be this ending or it's gonna be this, and just did the cliche, I would have appreciated more. But because I just think the things we're given as potential endings are better than the actual ending, in my opinion.
Yes.
So that's
well,
where
when we
it
talk
lost me.
spoilers, I want you to tell me what you wanted the ending to be, because I think there
Well,
were some plot holes as well in the like last third of the book that I'm sitting here going like, that just doesn't even make sense. Like you've built something up and then it just doesn't actually make sense. So there's a plot hole there that, but you have to get into specifics to kind of talk about those things.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, as soon as Maria said she was like rooting for Fisher, I knew it was over.
When we get to spoilers, I'll talk like my journey with that whole thing.
I was like, she's like, I hope she ends up with Fisher. Like, oh, this book, it's
It wasn't for that reason.
Well, and that's the thing too, like even the other love interest. So Cassius gets introduced, but then you don't see him for another like 200 pages. Like he's introduced and it's like, ooh, mystery man.
Yeah.
Ooh, he touched my hand. Ooh, and then it's like 200 pages of other stuff before he comes back in. And so that part to me, I did not enjoy. But I will say that the love triangle and like the two type of bows, if you look at genre conventions for Gothic fiction, that is very much a tropey thing. Like having the more like though she kind of played with it at the end and kind of flipped things in a way that I didn't like, because you have the like usually that more like naive, innocent love interest and then the more
Childhood
like worldly, dangerous love interest. So she was doing that, but then she kind of tried to flip it on its head a little bit in the second half, and I don't know that worked as well for me as if it had stayed the way that she built it at the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I don't usually like love triangles, but I didn't necessarily mind the love triangle aspect because it felt, at least in the first half, it wasn't like the fake out love triangle where it's like one is the clear favorite of the two. So that was kind of nice. I liked that. I don't want to get into thoughts too much on that until we get to the spoiler section.
The way it played out too was very much the same as how the love triangle in Fourth Wing is, where it's like the character grows past their childhood love. And like that idea of like, yes, this was my childhood crush, but I'm not the same person now because of all of these events. And therefore that relationship no longer makes sense, even though the childhood crush hasn't changed in the same way that the protagonist has. But it wasn't as fully like developed.
Fourth Wing love triangle was terrible too. So I'm
Maria, were you cheering for, were you on the other team for Fourth Wing?
No, I just thought that it was badly handled in both cases. Like in my opinion, it's not a love triangle. It's like we try to do a love triangle and it doesn't work, kind of is how I saw both.
I would see, I liked this one better than Fourth Wings. Because Fourth Wings to me was not a love triangle. That was there was a clear favorite.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there was a clear favorite in this one too. I like Fisher did not have a chance in hell. Like after she met Cassius, like there's no way
he didn't have a chance with her, but I think as a reader, for me, it was less clear that like I shouldn't be rooting for Fisher, whereas like in
Yeah.
Fourth Wing, like
Yeah,
it's
you wanna
pretty
hate-
You hate that
clear
guy.
like
I can't
Yeah.
remember what the other guy's name was, but he was awful.
Yeah, you
Maybe-
hate him because he acts like a
maybe?
total douche.
yes.
Pretty much. We
Yeah.
talk spoiler free on anything else because I feel like we're skirting around.
Yeah, we're already. Yeah.
We are skirting around this a bit.
I think the world building,
when I first read
while
it, too.
cool, was so unnecessary. Like this could have been set on the Hebrides in Scotland, and I would have enjoyed it just as much as having it be in this like
Yeah.
made up world.
See, I remained interested because of it. I think I would have bailed earlier without it.
Yeah, I'm with Kate. I liked the ocean setting and the like different culture and how they have different traditions and how they have their like how they treat their memorial funeral services. I thought that was all really cool.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you'll like the second one because we like visit somewhere else, so you get more world building.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's the second one follows Verity as she's an adult.
Like a grown up.
Yeah.
I
I was kind of excited about that because she was one of the only sisters that I felt like I got much time with besides Annalie, which
Yeah.
I think is one of the other things I wish that they'd been differentiated a little bit more because they all just kind of felt like I couldn't remember who was who for parts of it.
Camille or Camilla, what was her name? I can't remember. She
Camille.
like the oldest
older
sister.
one.
She I feel like had more of a differentiation as well. Like Camille and Annalie and Verity. But then the other two little kids like didn't play a role, and then the triplets were like a unit.
No. The triplet.
Yeah, like I don't even remember because it's like Lenore, Ligeia.
I thought the
and
oldest-
what's the third triplet?
Rosalie, I think.
Rosalie.
Rosalie. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Rosalie.
I thought the older
Camille's in
sister
the
was
second one, too.
super suspicious and odd, like the word.
Yeah,
I just hated her guts.
Yeah.
she's in the
Yeah.
second one. So.
I definitely thought he was at play for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was acting pretty sketchy for
She
large
was.
portions of it.
She was.
Her characterization
That's why-
was very like up and down too. Like she acted the way the plot needed her to in moments.
Yeah.
I was like second guessing what I remembered because it was like they're writing her in a strange way. That
What I don't think
she's
the
not in
character
second.
work in this was very good. Like there was a lot of inconsistencies in the characters, and like even Annalie, like she didn't really grow from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, in my opinion. Like it really seemed more like her growth had happened before the start of the book, and then so she wasn't necessarily acting consistently with like when we heard about things from the past, but that like in the present from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, she never changed.
Yeah, I liked
and
Annalie
she
in the beginning.
yo-yoed even a lot too.
Yeah, I agree. Because
Like she really cared about the sister
romance
death, and
happened.
like, oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so cute. Like she got on board with those dresses real quick. Suddenly there's sparkly shoes in the picture too. Like, what sister?
Fairy shoes.
Okay, well, any other non-spoiler thoughts, and then we can jump into spoilers.
Nope.
All right. Come to me. Okay. Which part do we want to talk about first?
The ending. Start at the end, work our way back from there.
Yeah, I didn't. I just wanted it to be less cliche. Like, I liked the idea of like when it brings up the guy who's kind of the uncle, but not technically the uncle. I wanted it to be something more interesting, and that would have been much more interesting to me than the stepmother.
Yeah.
I just.
But then
I
we
didn't
wouldn't
like
have
it.
gotten
I
to
didn't
It didn't
pull
have
out of the hat.
The devil birth, though. Come on.
I
we
actually
gotta have
liked the
devil
devil
birth.
birth. That was the only part I liked out of that.
if that didn't happen along with the villainous monologue of why they did what they did, it would have been such a great scene of just like it totally went bananas, like out the window in that moment.
And you don't need all the like, I cheated with him and like I was a serving maid or a nursemaid or whatever, and
We got a lot
he
of
didn't like. You don't need that all. Yeah, just like we got married. I wanted a son. I wanted them to inherit. Like I don't know.
Well, and I didn't
Excessive.
like the
It
whole
could've been
like
simpler.
Eulali's, her like killing Eulalie or however you say that name was just like, it didn't make sense because it's like what, she remembered you from when she was young, but so what? Her dad could have met you in the capital and married you, and it could have nothing to
Yeah.
do with the death of your mother. Like, why would she connect you to the death of her? Like, that just did not make sense. And it's
Mhm.
like, why? Like that, I did not understand that at all. And then, well, and then also there were plot holes about Fisher, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, I thought
I
because
like
I didn't.
how they totally tanked the dad. Sorry.
No, go
I think
ahead.
I'm on a delay, so I always talk and there's a pause, and it's never a real pause.
Oh no.
Oh, and now she's frozen.
Okay, I'll take it. We'll come back. I would think because Cassius, to me, like I get that he's a trope and a mysterious, like he's the mysterious guy, and you're kind of supposed to suspect him, and therefore there's the like friend who's like Fisher, who's supposed to be the kind of like one that you don't suspect. Blah blah blah. I get that the trope of it all, but because I thought the meet cute, not very meet cute, was very like cliche too, and just very, there wasn't a connection that I believed in. When we then get to the ending and she's like, oh shoot, has this moment where she's like, did I make Cassius up? Because of how, like, I guess shallow their connection and story had been, I was like, that's actually, this would change my entire opinion of this whole love romance plot line if that was the case. If like he just didn't exist and she was going mad this whole time, I thought that would have been, not that like, I don't know what that says about me that I'm rooting for this really dark twist, but I thought that because of the way it had been written, it would have made it much more intriguing and interesting. So then I was mad at the stepmother.
That would have been a different gothic ending. Lady goes mad is also a gothic trope, so I would have been okay with that.
Because they like she's presented
that would
it
have
as
been fun.
opposite. Yeah.
Did anybody pick up on the fact that basically Cassius was actually in love with Ava, the older sister, and was taking Anna Lee as like second best because she also has the dark hair? Did anyone read that into the section where he's like, I met your older sister and we did all these things, and then your other sisters joined us and they told me all about you, and then I decided that I had to come meet you? And I'm like,
I just thought that was
dude.
kind of creepy. Yeah, I just thought it was like, that's kind of odd now that you read this. Like, it's a little bit like you were
I
left
kind of
from
just brushed
beyond the
over
grave.
Cassius was the
The way
worst thing
he's
about
written
this
every
book.
time. It's like I look at him and I forget everything that is going, the doubts that are going through my head, and all I want is for him to touch me. Like it's just so, she's under a spell coded, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that I would have liked that ending better because I hate the romance of that because it's not even him being mysterious. It's that they don't have anything. They like run into each other, but they don't know each other.
Nothing.
It's not like, it's just sexual attraction at that point, and that's it. So,
Well, she doesn't know him.
yeah, that's fair.
He's a
But he
creepy
doesn't
stalker.
really know her.
He knows from his sister.
No,
The sisters, and that's about it. So, yeah, I did not.
I
like that.
wanted him to be a Fey Lord who was actually the bad guy, and I wanted her to go dark side at the end of the book. That's what I wanted.
That would have been cool.
But-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Burn
I
it
think
all
I would have liked that better.
This is probably very confusing for you, Cassidy. We're already talking spoilers.
Yeah, already skipped straight to the end.
Not a
too.
book I would recommend to Cassidy anyways, so we're good.
No, it's so descriptive too.
I have
and
comments on
so-
Small Favors? You've read that one?
No, I'm about to because I talked about it in my like fall TBR of like 5 books, and Taylor read it and said that it was really, really good. that she, like, I remember seeing her right when she had got to the 50% mark, and she said she almost missed her like stop on the train because like something crazy had just happened, and she was paying attention to the book and not the train. She said that the ending like went off a little bit, but she said really good things about it. And I've heard like very few people talk about it, but everyone that I've heard talk about it describes it as like really good. Why is no one talking about this book? And I've heard the vibes are really well done in that one.
Yeah, I would definitely be curious to read more. I would definitely read more from this author.
Well, Kate, I think you're gonna be forced to read the sequel. We know, so.
Yeah, it gives me more hope that you say the romance isn't as much of a thing, because that's by far my biggest gripe.
There is romance, but not like from the beginning, and it's not like so angsty.
Okay.
Mm.
And I like Verity. I think it's a stronger voice than Annalee.
When you talked, did I freeze? Everyone is frozen.
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
When when you were talking, Kristen, in one of your videos about the new one, you said something about like Verity like learning something about her past that was related to the book, and I thought for sure that Verity was like possessed or something, and then that wasn't like, I feel like that kind of then I didn't really. I don't know. I had like waited for like Verity to like be the devil or something.
It's not really a spoiler because it's at the beginning. Like she doesn't remember that she could see her sisters and like the drawing and all that stuff. She doesn't know that as an adult, but that was a thing that's starting to come. And she's living with Camille, and Camille's like hiding all this stuff from her.
Is there a reason she's like the most affected by everything?
It talks about she's just very young and impressionable. Like that's what the demon lady said. Was
but
like,
so are the Grey Cubs. Like
I love her brain.
The other two.
Her brain is so easy to infiltrate.
But she's like
there were two villain monologues in there.
Yeah, there were a few. Yeah. I could have used more of the ghosty ghouly stuff and less of the like supernatural stuff. I would have and that's where I think that the world building kind of takes it away from what I would have wanted out of this. Because if this was set in like 1800s Scotland, where you have, you know, religion that we are familiar with, and you have, instead of it being a random, you know, trickster god, whatever, it's like the actual devil, and then you have like real ghosts, I would have enjoyed that more than like her sisters actually being ghosts and like doing terrible things like that. I would have, like, as soon as Cassius was like, your sisters are fine, they're in the afterlife, I've met them, I was like, no. Lame.
You wanted them to be suffering.
No.
Why just like I mean, that's what's like part of the fun. Like really, like, I don't know if, have any of you ever seen Crimson Peak? Have you seen that movie?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god. Okay, so you have no idea what I'm referencing.
I think this would have worked. No. I think this would have worked better as something that was visual.
Crimson Peak is a movie by Guillermo del Toro. It's like, he took, I don't know if you are fans of Guillermo del Toro, but I love him, and he is very good at like taking a genre and like running with it. And that's what he does with Crimson Peak. It is his gothic horror movie. Mm-hmm. And it follows this girl who is warned by the ghost of her mother that she should not go to Crimson Peak. And then she's like this rich heiress in the US, and she meets this mysterious man, and he convinces her to marry him and move to England, where his family estate is, where he lives with his very creepy sister. And she moves, and then while she's in the house, weird shit starts happening, and like she keeps seeing all these ghosts, and like she's getting sick, and she like finds out that he's been married many times before, and it like escalates to the culmination, kind of similar to the culmination in this one, except less supernatural stuff happens. But I won't spoil it because you should watch Crimson Peak. It's really friggin' creepy. The ghosts, it's like right at the edge of my tolerance for being scared, and that is more what I wanted from this. Like, I literally was reading the first half of the book, I was in the bathtub, and there was like that one scene where she like is scared to go in the bathroom because she's worried that Elizabeth is in the bathroom. And I was like, oh, do I need to like get out of the tub to read this? Like, I'm skirting that because like I don't like to be scared, and my imagination is too good. And I was like, nah, I'm really comfortable, I'm just gonna keep reading. And I was like, oh, so disappointing. Like that could have been so much scarier. Like,
Yeah. I read the last like maybe
think-
100 pages in my bed in the dark on my Kindle because my dog was still sleeping, and it wasn't scary at all. Like I was expecting to like start seeing like, you know what I mean, with things like out of the corner of your mind, and there was zero of that. So I agreed that it like didn't take it there.
I think that it would have been creepier if she had have stayed in that tone. But every time it was like there would be like a really creepy thing where like you think something's about to happen, like whether it was like the footsteps or like the bath scene, you think something's going to happen, and then it would like cut to them going to a ball and like picking out what gloves they're going to wear, or like cut to something with Cassius, and I have to say Cassius, that's why I said it in my head. Like Cassius Clay. That's how I'm saying it. And so every time like jumped away from it, it like took my, is this about to be creepy? Like, is there about to be like a face in the mirror behind her? Like, you know, that like cut jump sort of scene or something. And so every time that didn't happen and it cut to something like super feminine or flowery or like angsty, it just totally like it like made the less creepy scene even less creepy for me. I wish she had stayed in that tone a lot more.
I actually
Or
think
made
they
that
could have
demon lady
utilized.
play with it more, like
Oh, yeah.
pull her into the tub way longer.
Ballroom stuff more. Because Annalie stops going to the ballroom, the dances, so we don't see it as much. I'm like, so this is not as creepy as you could have made it seem, because everything that was happening there was happening outside of the book with the sisters, right? Because then you just end up finding the sisters dead or whatever. But it's like you didn't see any of the times they were going to the ball and coming home exhausted, because Annalie stopped going. So that's kind of boring. So you're not really using the 20 dancing princesses because it's not happening.
Yeah, that part was so dumb. And then like the fact that it didn't even play in, like they didn't start going to the balls until halfway through the book. And then the dinner party was so inconsistent with when the dad is acting all crazy and being like, oh, there's shoes. And it's like, this
and
does
that was
not
literally
match.
just to make the fairy tale beat. Like that was because that fairy tale has to do it.
Yeah.
And like it never paid off because like in the fairy tale, the whole point is that the guy finds out why, and then he gets to marry the girl, like of his choice or whatever. Or in some versions, there's 9 princes that marry all 9 sisters, or depending on which version you read, there's different numbers of sisters and all that kind of shit. But I just, that whole thing did not need to be in there. Like it just really didn't. Like the balls still have the balls, and like that's fine because it's creepy and weird. But yeah, like it needed to either be more consistently there from the beginning. But then the other thing too is like the curse isn't even really a thing until like there's only 2 people who are killed by the actual curse.
Did the first
like
all just die?
Yeah, like Ava and Elizabeth and
the mom's poisoned. The mom was
poisoned.
Yeah,
but Elizabeth goes mad, right? So she is already being tortured.
Kills herself. The one who fell. No. Elizabeth wasn't. The demon lady said it wasn't her. That she didn't kill Elizabeth.
But
Elizabeth
we never find out what happens to Elizabeth.
We don't know what happens.
Yeah, the stepmother never says.
The one who fell off the ladder. The one who fell off the ladder literally was just clumsy and fell off the ladder. Like it's so dumb. Like they're not, and that's the thing that I was like, so what? So this curse is not even like, make the curse a real curse, make it starting from the beginning. Like the whole stepmother thing was just dumb in the end. It was dumb.
Right?
Too many plot holes.
And it was so obvious. As soon as you introduce a weird stepmother, you know that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. And as soon as she's pregnant in a gothic
well, that's
story,
what I thought at the beginning, and then I felt like it veered away.
Yeah.
I was sure it was the sister for a while. I was like, the sister. She felt really strongly. Yeah. She felt really strongly about the fact that she was going to be the next like duchess or countess, whatever rank they held. And I was like, yeah, she called when they introduced like, oh, somebody's called up a demon. I was like, it's a sister. She's super, super suspicious. She made that grieving apprentice boy feel like crap. I couldn't believe how quickly she tried to get him out of the house. And for there was something else she said at the time that I was like, this is hella suspicious. This bitch is definitely the one who cursed the family. she's just trying to get rid of all competition. The one that was older than her, like, take the seat seriously, like, yeah, she got rid of her for sure. I was like certain it was the sister for a solid chunk.
Did you catch, Kristen, the moment when, like, before they go into the birthing room and, like, Annalise telling her all about the curse? And there's literally a line where it's like Camille looked like, it was like looked suspicious or had like a weird steely glint in her eye. Like, it was something about like how she acts and looks weird. And I was like, it is Camille. Kristen was correct. Yeah. And I thought that would have been a great plot twist too. And then again, it's the cliche. It was the lead up. There were so many good options.
I remember now. Ava died from the
there was
plague.
Something
It was not curse related.
Oh,
Sorry.
the plague.
I just had to say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
right, yeah, like some pox, or just some. No, there was the same thing with like a specific reaction of the sisters when the brother was, or what, not the brother, when the apprentice guy was like telling them like his suspicions about like what he saw or whatever, and it was like she didn't react at all, like she wasn't surprised or whatever. She just like immediately was like, "You're lying. You've never dated my sister." Like, priority here, maybe, but she wanted to move on with her life, get a beau a little bit too strongly, in my opinion.
Did any of you have a theory about like the sea turtles and Fisher and Cassius? Because I also thought like another version of the ending was that they were like switched bodies or something along those lines. Like, instead of him stalking, because Cassius knew about the sea turtles, and we specifically get a mention earlier that Fisher like doesn't react when she says something about like the sea turtles and the snake, and that like he has no memory. And I was like, what if they're flipped and you like kill off the wrong one? Or like, I thought there'd be something there that would be really cool, and then it was just he stalked her and knew that information.
Well, and Fisher wasn't actually Fisher at that point, which is why he couldn't remember the snakes, because Fisher was
like it's not a plot hole. But it would have been, I thought, like a cool, like it was a direction my brain went down.
But the thing about Fisher, the like plot hole, is that I didn't understand, and like maybe it's just that I'm misconstruing. So like the demon lady was physically controlling his dead body during that time, right? But then she like how did she get to the lighthouse? Because like obviously the lighthouse keeper had only died like a day before, and that's why the light had gone out. So as soon as they got to the lighthouse and things were weird, I was like, oh, Fisher's dead for sure. Like I knew right away. And it was just like a sense. I was like, oh, Fisher's been dead. He's been dead a long time. And they're going to discover that.
Fisher.
But then I didn't understand when she like came out of his body. And I was like, wait, what? Like she's literally like, he's cracking open and she's coming out of him. Like what? That part was just a bit weird for me. And then I was like, okay, so his body shouldn't look super decayed. Like, well, that's what was described. But it also says that she finds his dead body.
There to be a dead body.
That didn't make sense.
It would have been cool if there were mentions of like people smelling something off.
Dead
or,
body
like,
in the
something.
Sarah. So it just
Yeah. There could have been more foreshadowing.
Literal. My brain is too literal, I think, to be able to like comprehend this idea of like
I just let these things go.
And then he's like not like he's like literally the thing when Cassius is like, oh, come with me, because he can see the dead body and the dead body is lying on the floor, but she's still in the dead body and it looks all bloated and gross like it's been dead for 2 weeks, but then she comes out of the body. I did not. I guess she can glamour things, so it was a thing that really bothered me though.
Yeah, I kind of almost thought of it as being like she didn't literally puppet his body. She was just controlling everybody's minds to see him there. But then she's controlling more than 8 people. She's controlling basically that whole house because Fisher's mom thinks that he's there. So
didn't it literally say
never,
that
you just make whatever assumption you want?
Yeah,
like,
that's
that
what I thought at first that too, and then she bursts
What's that?
out. Yeah.
That like she literally like comes out of his body. I'm looking it up.
Oh, she definitely comes out of his body.
Yeah.
It says that. Okay.
Yeah. But I was with
that was the
I just thought it was going to turn out that Fisher was a villain.
The Fisher was what?
Yeah.
When the lighthouse is like, oh, the lighthouse isn't working, I was like, oh, lighthouse guy is dead. And Fisher is actually a villain. In some, like, there were so many possibilities in this book. Like, it presented a lot of different options. I'm very contagious.
And all are better than the stepmother.
And then the one she ended up with. Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's like literally all of us in the beginning on the like first, I don't know, chapter or whatever the stepmothers mentioned, all of us in the Discord were like, we're suspicious. Stepmother's always suspicious.
Yeah.
But then she's not in
Yeah.
it a lot. I'm like, and then you don't see her
And
for
I don't
a
think
long time.
Her
and she
pregnancy
comes
at
back.
the funeral.
Yeah.
Also, how is the book supposed to help Annalena not sleep? Like, is it because she's gonna be so engrossed in it she won't sleep at all?
Yeah,
or
I
like
think
she won't
that's-
read?
That's kind of the vibe I
It's
thought.
not helpful.
No,
Yeah,
I
not
didn't
really.
get that either.
no, and I think I would have been more okay with the stepmom being a villain if they hadn't gone with like the woman scorned element, where like that's the whole reason she's doing it, and it's not even like to protect her position. It's because like she's mad that he turned her down or like basically abandoned her. I just
Yeah.
it's so
Well, I mean,
boring.
it's that like tropey, like, oh, he promised me he'd leave his wife, but then he didn't, except you already killed his wife. And he just got like, he clearly was like
He
a
was
bad
grieving.
dude. Like the dad was just a bad dude, like who had all kinds of arm candy and like was not a good guy. And yeah, I think the whole like
Yeah, the
trying to have a
character
son
assassination
thing
of
is
the
very
dad was
misogynistic. Let's just keep making babies so we have a boy, of course, even though it doesn't matter because we don't need a boy to inherit. So it actually doesn't make logical sense to be misogynistic on this island.
Yeah. And her killing off the mother didn't really make sense either, because it's like everywhere else she's portrayed as this more like innocent, naive, kind of willing to make a deal, but like that she wants something, but not actual murder. So that didn't line up to me for her character either. It was like the fact that she would actually, I mean, I guess she
and the
pushes
husband,
one of the sister off the cliff. I guess that's fair.
but
Yeah.
the husband hadn't even like made a move
And
yet.
for
She said
for
when she was
family.
caring for the mother, like he was
Yeah.
just eyeing her, and so she's like, yeah, so my button so I could be with the man who just looked at me because I was attractive.
So like, is she unhinged? Is she just like, it doesn't,
Well,
yeah.
she had a demon baby. Of course, she's unhinged.
But she didn't know it was a demon baby. When she was
No,
making
she
these
did. She knew.
did.
She knew one of them was a demon
Yeah.
baby. She knew one of
No,
the two
she
was
knew
a demon
she'd
baby.
slept with the
What?
demon. She knew
She
she'd
said she
slept
let
with
them
him
She said
for
with
the deal.
both of them. I just remember that part.
No,
Yeah.
I took that differently. I thought that like she allowed him to seal the deal, but she didn't think that it would be one of. I didn't.
She-
No, I
She
read it
let-
as like
she
she was
let
mad
him-
that
I don't
they
think she
killed the
knew
other
one.
baby.
The three of them, the dad, the demon, and the stepmom. I forgot that part.
Yes.
That ending was
Mhm.
unhinged.
It was
And
wild.
then the demon baby was feeding on the other baby.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was the fighting when they were like, when it was so much movement. I was like, yeah, the demon is totally eating the other baby. Which like
Yeah.
normally
Kind of
I would need
grotesque.
like some serious trigger warnings for this kind of thing, but because I
was
was going into it knowing
I
it's like
thought
gothic horror, I was like not expecting anything good to happen in the pregnancy. Like I was totally like
thought
this
about
is
it.
gonna end horribly. So
Yeah. When I got to that part again, because I'd forgotten that part, I was like, should I message Sarah? Thought about it. But like,
Yeah.
it's a huge
It-
spoiler, but I feel like
yeah. Normally I would say like yes, I would have preferred to
Yeah.
have a like loss of a child trigger warning, but
Yeah.
because of the ridiculousness of the situation,
the whole thing.
it didn't hit in a realistic manner to make me feel like, oh my
No,
god,
because it
like,
wasn't like
yeah.
she wasn't like super attached to the baby for the right reasons either. So it's not like you're like grieving for.
well, and like you don't really, you're not
her.
rooting for her at all. Like she's,
Yeah.
I mean, she announced her damn pregnancy at a wake. Like you don't do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So gross.
I wanted to punch her. Yeah.
And then like the next day insisted that they like move on and get on with their lives. Like
Well, like at first, I could
Yikes.
kind of understand that and be like, okay, like she, like before we knew everything about her, I was like, okay, yeah, like this is ridiculous when you have to spend like a whole year
A year.
in
Okay,
mourning
but spend a
and
week.
all of this
It was
stuff.
like one day.
But no, I know. But then it's like when you find out that she's actually the one who killed Eulalie and she couldn't even wait more than a day. Like you literally killed the person that you're refusing to mourn. Though I will say what's interesting is, and so this is like a world building piece, in Victorian times when mourning was like this serious thing, like what kind of is portrayed in this, men only had to mourn for 3 months. Women for their wives. Women, if your husband died, you mourned for a year. So there's discrepancy.
Wow.
Even the misogyny is real.
I did not know that. That just wow.
And like women had all these other rules about like if certain people, like certain relations died, you also had to go into mourning. But for men it was a lot more lax in terms of like the restrictions and all of that. And if you think about it, men for the most part wore black and gray anyway. They weren't wearing colors. But yeah, it was divided by sex, whether you were a man or a woman, how long you had to mourn. Yeah.
That tracks.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, wild book.
Well, it was a good book club book, I guess. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
everything
I'm sure it was.
I enjoyed reading it, even though I didn't like think it was a 5-star book. I had fun when I was reading
Yeah,
it.
it's fun.
I read it in 2 sittings, like 2 hours each time. It read really quickly and like was engaging. And I was in a hardcore slump. I had not read anything since like the first week of October when I picked this up last week. So
That
is a win. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially the first half, I still think is like really strong. I think we all kind of agreed on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Was this her debut?
it
I
was.
think
Yeah.
it was.
Okay.
Mhm.
That could explain some of the things.
Yeah, like the
And then-
pacing and some of the loose ends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it took
The
her 4
plotting's
years
not
to write the
checked.
sequel.
Yeah. Well, but when
Because
did
it
she
doesn't
write
feel
Small
like it needs a
Favors then?
sequel. Yeah.
I think in between those. And then she said the next sequel to this, I don't think comes out till 2026. Because
Does
we're getting a
it
third
feel
book.
like a sequel, Kristen, or is it more like a companion book?
It's more like a companion. I think you could even read the second one and not read the first one.
And, okay,
But it
that's
does
what I was thinking.
follow.
more.
It has Verity and
It
Camille in
follows
it, you said.
Verity, but she does a good job of telling you what you need to know from the first book without it being like, oh, she's telling us the same story again.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just
but
like
if
some
Verity-
of Verity's past.
If Verity is living with Camille, why is Camille not on the island? Because Camille was all like she inherited. I'm gonna have to read it now.
No, she is on the island, right?
I think she is.
No, very
She
In the
leaves.
books, though.
Verity leaves.
said-
Verity leaves.
Okay.
But in
So
the
I was
beginning,
like- I
she's
was like,
living like she's
after
this
all
whole
that.
time she's grown up. No, this whole time she's grown up with Camille on the island, being very protective, and then she runs away essentially, and we get
Okay.
Yeah.
Other parts of the world. I was
Yeah.
kind of sad to see the house burned down to the ground, but
it was
it has to happen. It's a gothic story. The house has to fall at the end.
The way the dad was really quickly killed off too is just like he disappears and then he never shows up again, and then Camille
Good.
accepts like
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Burned to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sad about it, I'll be honest.
No, I
No.
wasn't. But I thought the way it was like slid in there was just really cold.
Yeah.
I was sad for Lenore
They
though.
had destroyed his ship. They're pretty solidly by that point.
Well, that's why it almost felt like
You don't
they had
really
to
want the
replace
dad
their
to show up
story
afterwards.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Lenore. Yeah, I still think that like killing one of a like triplet or twin set is just evil.
Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was really
like-
sad.
I think she's the third one, isn't she?
No, wait, it was two of
I
them.
think she is.
Two
no,
of
no, no. I mean,
two of
the she's the
triplets,
third
right?
book in the series. I think she's the main character. I was looking at
Oh.
Goodreads.
Yeah.
I liked her.
2026 for that.
Yeah, it'll be a while.
we got I think it's 2026 or 2025. I know
That's
it's
a
not next
really
year.
long time.
Yeah.
I
Especially
mean, I'm okay with
How
it.
does she even know that that's far ahead?
well, she's probably
I
on
think
contract.
I saw like the
That's
publishing. Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Traditional publishing is really slow. Like
Yeah.
they sign
Well,
contracts
except
years
when
in
it
advance.
wants to be, like with
True.
Iron
multiple books
Flame.
coming out 1 year. Yeah.
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 Is that going to be your next book, Sarah? Iron Flame?
I don't know. I think I'll probably save that for a while. I don't know what I'm going to read next. I have no idea. I might go back to Murderbot and read through all of Murderbot, and then read the
Comes out
newest
Tuesday.
installment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Is murder.
Yeah,
Book.
what's
Alright.
everyone reading? What's everyone liking right now?
I'm reading Kaikei. Oops.
Oh, nice.
I'm only 78 pages in, but I'm loving it.
I feel like that's a summer book.
Does that mean you
How are you
finished
feeling reading it? Like, it just has summer vibes because there's so much like hot tropical landscape and things.
I feel like this kind of fantasy feels fall to me, that even when it's not set. Like there's something about
Interesting.
like mythological retellings that I like this time of year. I don't know why.
Fair.
But I don't know anything about this original story either, so I don't know if I appreciate everything yet, but
It deviates quite significantly from the original.
does it? It's like
Yeah.
her origin story, like a villain. Is that what it is?
I think it's complicating the idea that she's a villain.
Okay.
Kind of like it's trying to give her more dimension than just evil woman. Kind
And
of
like
like
framing it
Cersei,
from
the way
her
Cersei
perspective
does that.
too, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
because like right now she's a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Like trying to explain choices that she makes, because in the Ramayana, like she's a very small part, and it's really just like you see her from the other side because her son is like the main character in the Ramayana. Or what I can't remember if it's
Stepson,
her son
right?
or one of her husband's other wives' sons. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not a like big expert. Like that's not my heritage, but I've read from that before. Yeah.
Dia just helped us out in the
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah. I remember Dia did not like Kaikeyi and felt that it deviated.
No?
From her Discord, I think it deviated too much from the original
Too much.
source material, but it's definitely a
Mm.
feminist approach, and really tries to. It's very much a book like about women for women, I would say, like Kaikeyi.
Oh yeah, I'm already getting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she grows up with brothers.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of
You know
good
how that
stuff in
goes.
that book. I didn't like the ending of Kaikeyi, but I liked like 90% of it. I thought was really brilliant, and then the last 10% really disappointed me.
Oh no.
It just
Well,
felt
we'll
really
see.
rushed at the end. Like it didn't like conclude in a way that did justice to the rest of the story, because the rest of the story is so lush, and the magic, the like magic system in it, I don't know if you're that far in, but like she has this ability to see connections between people
Oh,
and
yeah.
manipulate them, and
She's
it's
got, like,
really
threads.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
That's
one
really
of the
cool.
coolest magic
That's
systems
really cool.
that
Yeah.
I've ever heard.
And like
Yeah.
she can manipulate them, but they're so easy to break, at least so far.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. They're fragile, and she has to like learn
Mhm.
a light touch and how to manipulate and like all of this stuff. It's interesting because obviously like my cultural background, I come from a place of like monogamy being the norm, and so the polyamory in it was interesting to see how, like, because like she's the third wife, I think, or the fourth wife, something like that. Like she's one of many wives to this one king, and like you get to see the different relationships that all of these women have, and like they all have children with him, and you get to see the relationships between the kids and between all of these mothers, and it was just really interesting to see that kind of on page, because coming from a place where like monogamy is the norm, like that's not something you normally see unless you watch like trashy TLC television with the like Mormons in Utah and what is that, Sister Wives, which was all about
Sister
the
Wives,
drama.
What are you reading, Maria?
I just started a new, like one of the SPIFFO finalists. So it's the Old West. It's the Western, the fantasy
The
Western.
Western one. Are you
Yeah.
reading them all?
No, I'm reading just the ones that like
No.
interest me the most.
Yeah.
And
I was like,
that one
I'm
wasn't
glad
like,
I didn't commit to that this year.
yeah. I'm like, I could DNF things. This is great.
I'm like, I don't think I could do it
make that
again.
easier.
Yeah. But it was short, and I wanted something for like Cassidy's readathon over the weekend, and then also something. I'm like scared to touch books that I'm excited about right now because I've DNF'd so many things. So I want to read bookshops and Bone Dust, but I'm like scared to approach that until I'm in a better place. So I'm like dipping my toes into ones that I'm like not as hyped up on. But it's okay. It kind of reminds me of like Greatcoats a little bit, in that like the main character has this like he suffers a loss in the beginning of the story. And he has just like a lot of like rage and resentment because of that. So I'm kind of curious to see where that goes. And then the last book that I like really liked before I started DNFing things was Curse of Chalion. So that was my like standout of the last few months.
I need to read that one for sure.
So good. Yeah, that one I like haven't stopped thinking about. So that was I'm excited to read like more Lois McMaster.
What's that one?
Curse of Chalion. It's the so it's the author of the Verkosigan saga. I forget how you say that. Which is like a famous sci-fi, and then she has
Oh, yeah.
It's like the
classic
Desdemona world. Yeah. Really good. I really liked it. I thought it was like a mix of Assassin's Apprentice, so like Farseer with Robin Hobb, and then a mix of like, what were the other ones that I thought? I forget now, but it was like what I liked. I didn't like Hobb, but what I wanted Hobb to be, this like kind of slice of life, very like calm, classical, but like emotional character based focus. And then it was very like Goblin Emperor in the sense of like politics was a strong focus, and I really liked that aspect of it. And then it had like a very hopeful tone, kind of like Goblin Emperor as well. So it's definitely not like a fantasy to go into if you want like, I don't know, dark or grimdark story, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So
Yeah.
I bought that one, so I need to get to it.
the DNFing so many things. I gave up on books after the first week of October because I binged book 2 and book 3 in the Mask of Mirrors series, and
Oh, you did.
Oh, you
really
read that?
enjoyed.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
so I read
wait,
all
you
of it.
didn't know this. I didn't know this. You got it as a secret.
No, I binged those, and then they were good. And then after that, I picked up Shadow and Bone, which I hated. I read the whole thing, but I thought it was awful. And then I picked up Six of Crows because I was like, oh well, maybe this will be better. And then I DNF'd Six of Crows, and I was like, if I'm DNFing Six of Crows, like I can't read anything right now because like this is my kind of book. And I was like, so
I think you'll
don't
like
know
that
if,
one when you go back
Mask
to
of
it.
Mirrors kind of ruined my reading because it was
Oh,
it
no.
was good. I enjoyed it, and like when I got to the end, I was like, "Oh no, it's over," and then I didn't have anything else I wanted to read.
I'm surprised that like you were able to binge those when you were on the edge of a slump, because I feel like they're for me ones that I'm scared to also touch because they're kind of slower paced. So maybe I should pick up Labyrinth's Heart now then instead of waiting on that.
I think I just really needed to know because like the plot is what was driving me on those books. Is like I
Oh no,
needed
it's
to
cutting
know.
out for me, and I'm interested in this part. Nobody's saying about Labyrinth's Heart.
Honestly, at this point, it all kind of blurs together. Like I don't think I could like discuss just Labyrinth's Part or whatever the
Liar's
last one is called. I can't remember. Liar's Not, because they just like I read them back to back and I read them so quickly and I just like don't remember. But
Wait, do you remember your
yeah,
rating?
it was just. Oh, I'm pretty sure I gave them both like at least 4.5.
I love
yeah.
that.
Like
That's awesome.
I like there were things I didn't like, and there were things like I think I need to read from the other author, not Marie Brennan, and I think that I would like their stuff better because all of the Marie Brennan characters were like my least favorite. Oh no, and of course Kristen's coming
Yeah,
out.
one moment.
During the fun part,
She cares
she's so excited about.
Yeah.
No more talk about it until she's back.
Like I could totally see rereading that whole series, which for me is like a big deal because I don't like reread things. And definitely in terms of like heist / con man fantasy, I thought it was good.
Did that get better for
and
you? Because in the first one you said the heist you didn't like very much.
Yeah, I think that the Rook character improves it for me in the like later books. Because like once you know who the Rook is, and then there's more ability to see from the Rook's perspective in book 2 and book 3, which I think my favorite character was the Rook. So that really helped me with book 2 and book 3. And then I also really liked how the like it felt very much like a D&D campaign, like with the different like layers of bosses. So like having played D&D, like I could see those story beats almost like, oh, okay, like this, you know, you have this end goal and then you have to like find the things that you need to make like the end goal. Like that was all of book 2 essentially felt like it's like gathering all the stuff that you needed for the big boss battle, which doesn't happen until book 3. So like there was layers, and I liked that it was like really like it was a complex plot, and that's something that for me I really enjoy. And the plot was like there weren't a lot of super huge like plot holes that I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense, or I would have done that different.
Yeah.
Like I hate that in a book that has a complicated plot where something like they need something to happen and so they do it like a certain way, and I'm like, oh, but you could have done that so much easier just by doing it like this. And like so I felt like the choices that were made sense, and like the writing style, like I said, I did not like reading from I can't even remember her name now, the main
Marie
character,
Brennan.
Ren.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ren.
Yeah.
I didn't like Ren when it was her sections, but like all the other
Marie Brennan
characters,
stuff.
I liked
That's
more.
Marie Brennan's character.
I have heard that like, the finale is really well praised for doing really like not having plot holes and being really like intricately tied together. So that's really exciting.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
haven't
there were
read it
some
yet?
choices that were made that I was like, nah, I might have liked something slightly different, and it did feel like I don't know, like there could be more to the story in a way at the end. So, which like maybe they'll write something more in the universe, but yeah, details are a lot fuzzier now because I haven't like I read it like over a month ago now, and I read it so quickly that it didn't like stick in my brain as much.
Side note, I remembered the 3 that I like compared Curse of Chalion to. It was Hob plus Goblin Emperor plus Queen's Thief. So I think like those the overlap of that is what I really liked about it.
Keep it away.
Oh,
And I guess we can respond to this one.
Oh no.
we did not universe.
No, I loved
I
it.
liked it. I loved it.
You know I loved it. But did not go well.
I'm so sorry.
Well, it didn't go poorly. We just
It
was more
nobody
mixed.
absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
I guess we are still being forced into book 2 is what I
I mean,
Now,
I'll
I'm
read the
nervous,
second
though.
one, especially if it's as wild as you guys have talked
Well, we
about.
already know that Kate's gonna be forced into it.
Did you
already
get a
on my
copy in like a
TBR.
fairy loot or something? Like, do you have one of the
Because
fancy editions, Kate?
my shelf, and I, we're in a Discord together, and it's like very forced that you have to read the sequel. Trust.
Kate has
The whole
Well,
thing.
and you guys talked about how wild it was, so it's like, I mean, I
It
gotta know
is.
now.
It is.
Kate, what are you reading right now?
Kristen's struggling.
So I'm in the middle of my Murderbot reread, so I've been listening to some of those. The downside is the next one for me to read is by far my least favorite in the whole series.
Oh no.
So
Which
just
one?
speed through that one and then get to the
Is
others.
it Rogue Protocol?
I think it's the weakest one in the whole series.
It's one
for
of
me.
my favorites.
I
I
knew
like
you
it
were
way
gonna
more
say
than
that.
the first 3.
Yeah, no,
It's such
I
a
like
fun,
the
like,
first.
it's like a noir mystery.
Well, I feel that way more with Fugitive Telemetry, but like Rogue Protocol for me is like she picks up the idea of like the different ways of robots and like AI identifying themselves, but doesn't really explore and just kind of drops it.
Yeah.
So she didn't do as much of that as I wanted her to do, and it
Maybe I'm
felt
getting
like
them
such
mixed
a
up. Is that the full length one? No.
no. So it's the third one where Murderbot like has to go to this separate station to find something about like one of
Oh,
the
yeah.
evil corporations. So it just
I-
feels like such a side quest type book to me.
I was thinking of Fugitive Telemetry is the one.
Yeah,
I was
that
thinking
one
of.
is
Yeah, that one I
excellent.
like.
Yeah.
That one I
That
like.
one's very good. So I'm excited to
But
go
isn't
back to
that
that
the one where is Rogue Protocol the one where they introduce the sentient ship though, isn't it?
No, that's the second one.
It's
That's
Okay.
Artificial
It's been a while.
Condition, I think.
It's been a while since I've read them,
Um,
so they all blend together too. They're only like
Yeah, they're so
175
short.
pages each.
Yeah, they are. They're so short.
We're
But
talking Murderbot, Kristen, by the way, if you joined midway through that.
Oh.
Poor Kristen.
And the
Yeah,
newest
so
one
real.
is full length, right? Like the new one that's coming out is
yeah,
full
but
length.
like barely full length. It's not that long. Like it's
Okay.
technically a novel, but technically it's
Is it, like,
something like
200 and
200 or
something?
300 pages.
I was so disappointed with Witch King when I DNF'd that, and I was so
I
disappointed.
didn't have
so
it too. I know.
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't tried it yet. I want to, but I haven't tried it yet.
I thought
So
it sounded so good too.
what's that?
premise.
Like,
Sounds
I
Oh,
love the
yeah,
idea
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
Right.
agree. And then I picked up, I can never remember the title, the Lady Wisteria Society Scoundrels,
yeah.
whatever it
There.
is.
Yeah,
The Lady
yeah.
Pirate series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
the first time I read that, I did not like it. I
Okay.
started it and it was too silly because it's very,
Mhm.
very silly. And I was
Totally.
not in the mood for it. And now I picked it up and it's like, yeah, this is great. I'm having a good time. So I
Timing,
just needed
yeah.
the right
I-
mood.
I DNF'd
do.
it because of the romance. But
Yeah, I'm
Kristen
15%
has just
in,
said
I think.
Kristen
Yeah, I
will
saw
join
that.
us in the comments. Her
Oh,
her
okay.
internet apparently
That's
is
fair.
not cooperating.
That's frustrating. Yeah.
Oh,
I want
Are
to
we-
try. I think timing is so important because all of a sudden, like this month, my brain was like, I want to try that werewolf series that you're always talking about, Kristen. The like I Kiss and the one that Kate liked. The what was it? I
Need
kissed a
mishaps.
werewolf.
Need
But if you don't, if you
That
don't
one.
love that though, Maria, I don't think we could be friends anymore.
Okay, then I just won't tell you.
I would be sad, but you can still tell me.
But like timing wise, I feel like if I'm going to like it right now, feels like the right time.
because
Yes.
Kate also likes it, makes me think there's a good chance you could like it too. Because I don't think it's like, it's like not normally what Kate would like. I don't think.
True.
It's the only one of those I've found that I've liked because I've
Yeah.
tried a couple others now and it's just doesn't work for me.
I'm trying to find something like it. There's nothing like it. Fail
Well,
every
He's so
time.
You both
self-aware.
recommend doing an order with it, or like, is there one that's like the better to start with?
I actually do think you have to read them in order.
I would read it in order because it references some of the other things that happen. And I
And they're, like,
definitely wouldn't
connections.
read the third one without reading the others.
Okay. Well,
But
I
the
will
second's my favorite.
read and maybe report back. Only Kate will know.
If I don't hear anything, I'll take that as a bad sign.
I may not have picked it up. I'm very all over the place right now. Like I'm supposed to be reading my owned books because I'm like overwhelmed by how many I have now and want to read them to like get through a bunch of them before the end of the year. But I think that's partly what my slump is too. Like not just mental health. I think it's like forcing myself to read, which I know didn't go well for you, Sarah. So I'm
Yeah.
not learning from your mistakes apparently.
like I honestly I don't know if I'll pick anything else up anytime soon. Like I read
Mhm.
this mainly because I didn't want to like miss out on the conversation too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh well, like it would be weird if I show up and you guys are all talking about a book that I haven't read, which also was my
understand.
pick. Which that also makes it awkward. But I'm glad I read it. It was fun, and I might not read anything for a couple more weeks, and then maybe in December I'll pick things back up. But we'll see.
I think you
Yeah.
did a good thing by like putting a YA on the list, that one, because I wonder, like, as much as we all talked about wanting adult themes from it, I wonder if it would have been harder to read in a slump if it was not YA.
Yeah,
This is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of for December because I'm choosing the ones that we're voting for. I don't want to do anything too heavy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm having like a hard time. I'm like, I don't want to, but like everybody could hate this and I'll be the only one that loves it. That's just always my fear. Hence what happened today.
I mean, it's still a good discussion when it happens. So
Yeah.
So that I was going through Kate's want to read shelf. I'm like, where do we overlap? And Kate's got 2,000 books on there. It's like, well, this is.
I
We're
just
usually, like,
cleared it
very
out
in this.
and it's still not that far from 2000.
I think mine is probably over 1,000 books on mine. I don't know. I
Mine's
don't even
over
think about that.
1,000 too. Mine's over 1,000 too.
Yeah, I think I'm at like
Because I do all, like, the
1800
new
now.
releases.
So
Oh, you went through it after I called you out. You went through it.
oh yeah. No, I was like, oh, I should clean that up. There's definitely stuff I don't want to read. But
Oh,
Only
Kristen,
200 gone is not that bad.
what's Kristen's?
Mine's pretty. Don't look at mine.
Mine
No,
is like
other
100 or 200. It's probably not
oh
very
wow. Yeah,
Mine
no,
is
I
because I
own
do
more than that. So
I do the new releases every month. So like a lot of it's not stuff I
Mhm.
actually am gonna get to anytime soon. I just need to keep track of it. That's my excuse.
I track mine more on
My-
Amazon, and then I have like different lists in there where it's like for consideration, like ones that I'm unsure about but I've heard like I'm kind of on the fence on, and there's ones like definite. So I think on Goodreads I just have my like definitely want to read, and then I don't always add everything either. Oh yeah, my
Yeah.
to read is 93. So but again, that's Goodreads versus Amazon.
no,
I'll go through yours
fair.
instead.
I think I've been on
I'll
Goodreads
update
for
mine for
like
you,
12
Kristen, I
years.
Update it. Update it.
I like the notes
My-
function though of like Amazon where you can put who recommended it. That's why I use that the most,
Oh, that
because
makes
I
sense.
just forget whose rec it came from.
Yeah, you used to be able to do that on Goodreads, but I don't know if they took that out. They might
I think
have.
they did.
I think you can only
Yeah,
add notes
thank you.
once you've like marked a book as read,
Read.
maybe.
Yeah.
And then you can add personal notes. But I have
I love how
multiple.
chaotic
I
That seems
use
organized.
Goodreads, and then also like my Scribd TBR is like another list of like want to read. Well, and Scribd
Yeah.
Me
isn't
too.
Scribd anymore. Now it's Everend.
Yeah.
Everend.
You call it
Yeah.
that.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It seems silly, but
Yeah, I guess they wanted to separate because they started as some kind of document upload thing. So they wanted to separate that side from like audiobooks and books side.
Yeah.
The like document upload side of things though is like all the pirated stuff.
yeah, I was gonna say
Where you
that's
can
like
get
the
like pirated
Yeah, it's a weird
pirated
choice.
copies of books and like
yeah.
Plus, they should have just like kept Scribd for the name of what people use it more, which is the audiobooks and the ebooks, rather
Yeah,
than
I
and then made PDF something different.
Yeah, no, I don't know why they made that choice. It seems like a strange
Like
one to me.
HBO Max just becoming Max, like it's just dumb decisions.
Yeah.
well, did you guys see Murphy Napier, who like has two channels, is doing like her main channel is becoming her manga channel, and her like secondary channel
didn't
is
see
becoming
that.
her books channel. And I was like, I am subscribed to her main channel. I was not subscribed to her other channel, so
Same.
I unsubscribed from her main channel, which is now the manga channel, because I don't care about. I'm saying it wrong. It's manga.
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 Whatever. That word that I don't know because I don't read those. and I subscribed to her other channel because I was like, I don't care about One Piece.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by just like where the split happened, but she explained in the video that like it was what
Yeah.
videos were doing really well on each channel, which makes sense. So.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah, it is interesting to see people split their channels like that. Like, it's not something I've ever thought about because I don't do this for a living, so the views don't really matter to me, but I could see doing it for the big ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's almost
That'd
at
be
half
really
a million
diverse.
subscribers on her main
Perfect.
channel. So,
Yeah.
well, have we exhausted our?
All the topics.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even talking about the book anymore. Wandering off.
We'll probably announce our next picks or do a poll sometime soon. We weren't ready enough in time, but it's coming.
You mean I wasn't?
No, I think we all.
We all.
We were kind of slow on even organizing this live and
We are.
everything.
There's a lot of us.
Half of us didn't
regularly
read the
go
book
out there.
until last week, so
Yeah.
Or finish it today. Whichever.
well, that's within the last week.
Yeah, I always do this, so it's not like it's anything new for me, but But it was fun. I'm glad we all
Good.
managed to read it
Made it.
and were able to chat about it. So
Yeah.
And our next one we're picking in December and then discussing in January. I never remember our
We
schedule.
technically
We
picking this
read
month.
in
December.
read in
Talk
December
about
and
in
discuss
January.
in January.
Yeah.
No, it won't be anything too heavy. Don't worry. I know it's December is like a busy month, so we're not going to do anything ridiculous.
Are you co-hosting for Reindeer Readathon again this year, Kristen?
I am. Yes,
Yeah.
I am. I have to film that announcement video at some point. The announcement video is already up on Eric's channel.
Yeah, I
I'm
saw
team
his.
stalking again.
Ooh.
Team stalking again. I have to protect my crown since we did win last year. So
I didn't actually
That's
watch
somebody
this
was so-
video. I just noticed it, and I was like, "Oh, I should bookmark that and come back and watch it."
and Kate was randomly assigned to my team.
Ooh.
I didn't get to do that last year, but at
No.
least this year we get to.
Yes. And it's so funny because that's the first readathon I ever participated in, just like as whatever. And then the first one I co-hosted, it was my first live stream, my first reading sprint.
Oh,
So I was like, yeah, I
yeah.
have to do it. And Eric and I live in the same city. So it's like that.
I need to look at the prompts again and see if like they're vague enough that I can follow it. Because technically, as much as I say like I'm veering off my TBR, I have a very strict TBR for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Is it spitball stuff?
I just like really wanted to get through certain like sequels and own books. So like I was trying to be strict with myself, but we'll see.
Kristen came back. All right.
Right in
Well.
time for us to sign off.
She just wants to talk after. She wants to talk after.
I was like, oh, I have to join that.
To the chat afterwards.
It just kept doing funny things. It wasn't worth it. I was watching.
was the worst timing too. It was like Brooke and Rose timing.
I know. Okay.
Can I just say that how crazy is it? We were like, when should we do that live show based on when I was due? Am I frozen?
No, you're good.
I can't hear anything. I think I must be frozen. Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was crazy that we were like, when should we do it based on when I was due? And then we're like don't plan around it at all. And then that was the night that I went in labor when you guys were doing the live show.
We were saying
Perfect.
if you joined the live, it would for sure be.
Yeah, we should have just done it. You should have joined us anyways. It would have been dramatic.
Yeah.
I almost watched it, and then it was like, I thought about it. I was like, I'll be able to watch it, well, at least, but during parts of it, and I was not able to watch it. I actually haven't watched that replay yet, even, so I'm not sure what everyone thought of it. I have to sit down and listen to all of your disparaging thoughts and take notes on who said what about what, so I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we had many disparaging thoughts.
Other than me hating on Ren being a bad con artist, that's the only disparaging thoughts.
I think I caught that part. I think I watched the beginning of it and I was like, oh, how dare they?
All right.
A bad con. You can see what she's thinking in the moment and see how she interplays.
I'm with you. I totally agree.
Yeah, it didn't bother me, but
I do remember seeing that.
With that note, actually, if you want to watch any of our previous plays,
yes.
There you go.
Which one? That one was on Kristen's channel with an I, right?
Yeah, we should really make a playlist of all
We
these.
should make a playlist.
Yeah.
Make a playlist.
Yeah. See, we're so organized over here. The most organized book club on the internet.
I have a playlist.
Well, there you go. Kristen has a playlist. That's how often we watch
there we
back our
go.
lives. Okay, we should say goodbye though, because I feel like we're just filling time now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.